Path of Exile 2 has announced what the price point is going to be for early access to their game. There's a few things to keep in mind. One of which is because the early access that is about to be released, you can purchase to get into the game is coming out. It's going to overwrite the previous ones, meaning this is your last chance to get the current supporter packs in the game. You might ask yourself, why does this matter if Path of Exile 2 coming out? Why would I want to buy supporter packs for the previous one? Part of the reason is all of your microtransactions from Path of Exile 1 will actually transfer to Path of Exile 2. So any of these supporter packs you buy previously, you will have, including things like stash tabs, the extra storage you buy, etc., will be in Path of Exile 2. Plus, if you buy the most expensive supporter packs, if you've either lifetime supported, I believe it was $500, or ever at one time bought one of the $480 supporter packs, you're guaranteed access. But if you don't want to do that, they've announced that unlike our usual tier of core supporter packs, early access will begin at $30 USD. So you can get early access if you've never spent any money in the game before. If you're fresh, brand new to the game, on December 6th, it is going to cost you $30. Now, we should get more 100% clarification on both what you're getting for your $30, other than just the key, as well as lifetime purchases, etc., on the 21st. On the 21st at noon PST, that would be 3 p.m. EST, there's going to be a live stream. I will be live streaming it as well. I'm sure all of us will be, which they are going to break down all of the information related to the packs that we've just talked about and what you get with it. I'm sure we're going to be receiving information about things that we have not received information on yet, considering the game is about to be released. We still don't have information on things like ascendancies in-game. I don't think we have 100% confirmation on whether or not, which classes are coming to the game, etc., and league mechanics, all of these types of things. So I would expect a large amount of information related to questions you may still have on the game being released on the 21st. If you're worried about another additional delay, the reason one of the last delays had happened was they were having problems being able to patch between servers, but one of their patches that they actually had here, changes to our account system support PoE 1 and PoE 2. This is part of the reason it was delayed originally, was to make this patch actually be able to work. Looks like it was successfully deployed. People were somewhat worried about this when on the 13th they were not able to deploy this patch and thought, uh-oh. But we should be good to go December 6th. Now, we know Path of Exile 2 is going to be a 6-act campaign, and we know it's going to have more than 100 in-game maps. It says so right on their official website, but they already announced in a previously translated interview, for the Tokyo interview, for instance, that it's only going to have acts 1 through 3. At least in the early access, until it sounds like they approximate about 6 months or so to get all of those acts actually scheduled without going into the game. So this is sort of like Path of Exile 1, where they released it, I believe it's acts 1 through 4, and then 6 through 10 all at the same time. And if you're new to the Path of Exile, it is a game that is going to be on both console as well as PC, but this time it's going to be a little different than PoE 1. It is going to be cross-platform and cross-progression, meaning that you can play on your PC and then go play on your console, and it's the same account, same server. Now, we have seen information on 8 classes. I expect there only to be 6 in early access. There is the Warrior, the Ranger, the Huntress, the Sorceress, the Mercenary, the Monk, the Druid, and of course the Witch. We have seen a significant amount of gameplay and people getting early access testing on basically all of these except the Druid and the Huntress. So I'd probably plan to pick one of the classes like Warrior, Ranger, Sorceress, Monk, Mercenary, and Witch would be the 6 I would expect. Though I believe there was like a Gamescom test or something where people were able to get their hands on a pre-built Huntress, so maybe she sneaks in there too. Now, one of the most underappreciated points I think of Path of Exile 2, and a reason this game is going to do really well, is how good the couch co-op is. This is an example. I was playing with my buddy JGigs. You can have both menus open at the same time. It's not split screen. You're all on the actual same screen together. One person's progress isn't like impeding the other, and they have flawless trade between the players where you can just yoink it from one person's inventory to another. So I actually think couch co-op is going to be a phenomenal sales point to people. If you're someone who didn't play Path of Exile 1, either it was too intimidating or you play on console, like you're a Diablo 4 player, for instance, maybe you're playing on console, maybe you play it with your wife, something like that. That's why you enjoy that type of game in that genre. Path of Exile 2, I think, is going to actually bring in a lot of those players that don't want to play on a PC and that do have someone they actually want to play with. This is one of the better games I've played on couch co-op, just period. And I definitely love that they don't go split screen. It's all on the same screen, really easy to visually navigate. You can also revive each other, so couch co-op's actually like kind of strong, and there are classes that can help give buffs to other players. Like, I believe it's the Scepter, for instance, just has like an aura. So that's definitely like a large sales pitch to me. I've more and more been appreciated playing from the couch and playing with my girlfriend. Now, one of the other things to keep in mind is that controller in WASD might be actually better than you think it is. Part of the reason is in Path of Exile 1 or Diablo, for instance, there's not really a reason to backpedal. Like when you're moving and facing a direction, you're just kind of moving through the map quickly. In Path of Exile 2, directional facing actually matters for multiple reasons. For like skill shots in which the direction you're shooting, like a crossbow as an example, or if you're a warrior with a shield, the shield only blocks what you're facing. It obviously isn't going to block your back. Like it isn't just because I have a shield, there's a passive block mechanic. It's if you're actively blocking with your shield, you need the bullets or arrows or what have you to actually hit the shield. So because of that, being able to move one direction while facing another direction is actually quite critical, which is part of the reason WASD was implemented into the game for these types of skills. But there's another reason that controller actually feels really good in Path of Exile 2. I am someone who's what I would say maybe a little bit of like a controller hater. I don't typically like controllers unless it's a game like Elden Ring or something where I really feel like it's forced onto me. I don't really want to play on controller, but I have to be honest, the controller experience was as good, if not better, than playing on the mouse and keyboard. So if you're someone who really enjoys controller, or maybe you're worried that you don't want to play on the controller because it's going to feel bad in previous experiences with games, this is one of the few exceptions in which controller actually feels quite good. And if you're going to plug in your controller and PC, you can just use mouse and keyboard to navigate the menus or something like that. But I really had zero experiences, except maybe when I'm like interacting with like purchasing stuff in town can be a little bit annoying, but almost zero experience in which the controller felt bad at all. It's actually just like a pretty smooth out gameplay experience. I think a huge focus point of this game, if you're on the fence on purchasing or trying it out, is the boss fights. If you're somebody who enjoys a good boss fight, I think this game is for you. If for whatever reason you're just someone who doesn't like boss fights, you just want open world exploring and non-combat gameplay and skills and stuff like that, it's not going to be so much for you, I'll be honest. But if you're someone who enjoys a good boss fight, it feels much more focused on a boss fight than any other ARPG I've seen. There's over 100 unique bosses. There's optional bosses. As you go through the campaign, you're constantly hit with like top tier boss fight, and the mechanics aren't double dipping at all. You can even revive each other in the boss fights. You kind of feel like you're cooperatively playing with each other in a couch co-op type of scenario. So for me, this is a major focus point. They also are focusing more on boss fights, even more so than Path of Exile 1, even though Path of Exile 1's boss fights were pretty good because of the inability to do what's called like a 6-portal defense. Like you can't just teleport out and teleport back in. You enter the boss fight, you're going to have to complete that boss fight. Because of this, it is going to be really interesting and challenging to watch people go into the game essentially blind and try to do this on hardcore. If you're someone who likes a good challenge and you're gonna like, I'm not gonna watch any content, I'm going into a blind, I just want a good hardcore challenge in the game, Path of Exile 2's first release, if you play it on hardcore, is going to be like the pinnacle of blind hardcore challenge. I would doubt there's going to be anyone that really does it on their first character, first attempt being truly blind. I doubt that's even possible with some of the mechanics I've seen. Like they catch you off guard. But I would love to be proven wrong because that would be a run for the ages. Now, every day leading up to Path of Exile 2's release, I am live streaming, we're watching gameplay footage, answering questions, and refreshing, looking for news on Path of Exile 2. So you can come on by live now as of the posting of this video at twitch.tv/Darth Microtransaction. I'll have a link in the description as well as a pinned comment if you want to chat about Path of Exile 2. That's about all we have for the information on this video, so I'll see you on the next one or on the live stream on the 21st. Oh, and also, I am curious what class everyone's going, so can you leave a comment and upvote the ones that are for people that are playing your same class? I'm kind of polling the audience here. I'm curious what the most common's going to be. My guess is Witch, but I could be wrong.